Some people say, I thought that in the name of meditation and yoga, we were supposed to make the mind blank and without thoughts. But you can't make the mind thoughtless immediately. Many people try, but it is impossible. Once you make the mind thoughtless, you have attained the goal. But it is not that easy. Many people say, I have made my mind vacant. How did they know the mind was vacant? They were aware of it. Is not that type of awareness a thought? You have removed all other thoughts and retained this one thought of having made the mind vacant. That is not the real thoughtlessness.
Thank you, Patanjali. And this is what we hear, really medicine for body, mind, and spirit. And you know, today yoga is used in such rough terms today, and I really would like you to grasp Patanjali, because it keeps you on a secure ground. It keeps you well based on this earth, especially nowadays with so many forms of yoga. And whenever you doubt the forms of yoga and you have a question, today Patanjali gives us all the answers, really gives us the answers. So if somebody's taking you down the wrong path, all you have to do is look at Patanjali, because last week we finished when he tells us there are 5 different mental modifications that live in the mind. And of these 5, you can divide them into 2, painful and painless. And then Gurudev makes it even simpler. He said, look, selfish thoughts. What are selfish thoughts? I need, I want. Just when you say those things, you know, right? When you have all this, I need, I want, I have to have, you're not happy. You're just not happy. But the selfless, is it wrong to have things? No, you can have things, but don't let them control you. This is the teaching again and again and again. Let go. You can have whatever you want. In fact, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and everything else will be added onto you. How many times do we have to read that? Look for that first and everything else will come to you. But of course, human beings, I need this, I need so much money in order to live. You know, and I keep having to ask people again, how much do you really need? You got a house, you've got food, you've got a plate. How much do you really need? All is extra. We get so carried away with things, and we keep forgetting what is painful, and it makes us painful. So what do you have to do? Let it go and be a little selfless and count what you do have. And is this enough to live on? If it's not, go get a job. If you have to clean, clean. If you have to do something, you have to do something. I mean, when I needed a job to get my kids to school, I mopped, I broomed the shop, I ironed clothes every single day. I was cleaning the shop. We couldn't afford more stuff. So what's the big deal? You're earning for your own children. But today everybody complains. Right? And it makes you miserable. If the complaining made people happy, fine, carry on. But it doesn't. It really doesn't. I have to ask that simple, truthful question. What is making you happy? Unhappy? Yourself? Your mind? And here Sri Patanjali tells us, look at your thoughts. Is it all about you? Now you know why you're in pain. And many years ago, when I was giving a teacher training of Raj Yoga in another country, and you were with me, and we were giving, and then at the end we had a psychologist, been a psychologist for 20 years, and she cried at the end of the course and came to me, and I said, I'm really, really sorry. Why are you crying? Have I said, because sometimes I'm too truthful, have I said something to hurt you? And she said, no, Nalanie, I've been a psychologist for 20 years, and for the first time, I realize why my patients keep becoming my patients. They don't get better. And I said, oh, tell me. And she said, this sutra painful or painless? And I said, what did you see, selfish or selfless? She said, you know what? All my patients are depressed because it's all about them. They don't think about their family, they don't think about their children, they don't think about anybody else. All the time it's I, me, and mine. No wonder they're depressed. I'm going to be more truthful to them, and I'm going to tell them what you told us to do. Go and do some good deed for somebody else. And this is the truth, right? This is the truth. We talk about it, and we go back to, I need, I want, I this. Go to another country, see how the real people are living and how lucky we are. And then, truthfully, you'll think how blessed you are. And it's not in a bad way. It's not saying, but wake up. It's just waking up. It's nobody's bad for wanting those things. It's just that we get lost. Do you see? We get lost. And it's all mind that we get so lost that we don't see what we have in front of us. We don't see what's here now. And it's now. This moment is what counts. And this is why I love to talk about death. Because you could die tomorrow. You're ready. You're prepared. And you don't waste the rest of your life. You still dedicate the rest of your life. And that dedication gives you joy, gives you peace. So this is what Sri Patanjali is trying to tell us in a very clear way. Then he tries, as a scientist, he makes it so easy for us. He says, there are 5 mental modifications in your mind. Right knowledge, can you all say it? Right knowledge. Misconception, verbal delusion, sleep, and memory. And I thought, when I first heard it, no, this is much more than that. But he's so smart. He's made it so simple and so clear for our crazy minds. So he said the first one you should look at is right knowledge. What is right knowledge? How do you know it's right knowledge? So he lists 3 things as right knowledge. Direct perception. Direct perception. What is that? What you see is what you know. So if you see something, somebody tells you something else, you will say, no, I saw this, I saw the situation. However, there can also be misconception, which we're coming to next, in the seeing. And this happened to me, and this also covers the next one, misconception. Many years ago, when I was first studying it, I just got my yoga therapy degree from UK. And it was 1999, I was working in a clinic. And I had a wonderful meditation, just incredible. So I walk into the clinic, very quiet, very peaceful. I say hello to the receptionist. I go into my office. I see 2 patients that morning. I go walking to Main Street because after that I was working in a shop as well. I didn't have many patients. Not many people knew about yoga therapy. We didn't have the yoga center yet. So anyway, I walked into my shop. As I'm walking to my shop, one of the doctors that practices at the clinic, 2 hours later, she bumps into me on Main Street. Oh, Nalanie, some of you have heard this story. I heard you were so depressed this morning. I said, what? She said, yes, they were all talking that you walked in. You were so depressed. And I go, really? Is that what they said? Do I look depressed? And she said, no, but everybody said you were really I thought, oh, you know why? Because this morning I had such a wonderful meditation and I wasn't ready to talk a lot. So instead of saying, good morning, everyone, I went to my office. You know how when you have a deep experience, you don't want to talk. And it was misunderstood. So I had and then I thought, verbal delusion, misconception, right knowledge or wrong knowledge, because it was direct, they saw me, right? So it was very interesting. So I looked at all these things because I just started studying, and that's why I love to study, because I could easily analyze my own mind. And I could laugh about it. And I go, total misconception, But they saw you. Yeah, they saw me peaceful. They took it for what they wanted to believe. So, and then that's direct perception also. So you need to be careful with right knowledge. May not be right, okay? There could be a slip on that too. The next one is inference. The one that they always use is when you see smoke, what will you say? Fire. There's a fire. So that's inference. You can infer, If you see cow's milk, you can infer it came from a cow, although nowadays you don't know. In the olden days you would know, but now we really don't know what they put into those cartons, do we? We don't know. We think we know, and then you look in the back and you go, so so many things. Where's the cow's milk? Where's all the other things in it, you know? So anyway, so this is, you can infer some things in life, you can. And the third one is scriptural testimony. And this is where I want you guys to look at today, because today we have a lot. I don't know why it's blossoming. Lots of new spiritual schools doing really weird stuff. Telling you that you can get to the highest place by doing really weird things. Okay, so we got a lot of this stuff today, and that was a lot to do with drugs and things as well. You can get self-realized with drugs, etc., etc. I'm not saying these things, you want to experiment, but be careful, it's dangerous. It's really very, very dangerous. If you're not grounded, you can lose your nervous system is affected. And I know this as a fact because at 19 years old, I was studying child psychology and psychology in the States with the fine arts. And I volunteered every Friday because my boyfriend at the time was a psychologist. And I volunteered every Friday at this place where young kids were on drugs, not really very hard drugs too. Some were just on hash and coke, but they took so much of it that they got literally, their nervous system went nuts. I just worked that 1 year and I thought, this is criminal. This is criminal. Lives are lost. These young people will never be normal again. And my psychologist doctor said, not much we can do. That nervous system is so damaged. They've gone into different dimensions, but they can't come back here. So they're getting all these nightmares, and they think they're Superman, or they think they've met Jesus, or they think they've met that one, and they're gone nuts. They can't settle on this earth. It's really, it broke my heart, I remember, and I thought, they're just my age or younger, an entire life. So be careful, I only say be careful. So if you want to know, and this is where scriptural testimony helps. Okay, let's say, they say, I should take this drug. Let's check, is it in any of the scriptures? Look. Is it in any of the scriptures the only way to find the divine and the self is to take all these drugs? Is it anywhere? Sri Patanjali tells us in book 4, you know, people do use herbs and magic mushrooms, but it will take you there, but then you cannot stay there. And then when you come back, you drown. Why not take the natural way? Because that is forever. They tell you these things do play with your mind. So whenever you're unsure and you're desperate for spirituality, or you know people around you that are following all these weird paths, ask, look. That's why I always say to you guys, please read the lives of the great saints or the great people. You know, people like even the modern sages for me are Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay. They're modern sages for me because they're in our generation and they say the truth. He says, I went this wrong road, and how he got the awakening and corrected it. And you see his work is all good, is it not? And you see Louise Hay the same. She struggled so much in her youth, and then she had cancer. And then she realized she really was abused in her youth, terribly, terribly. How she became such a great woman is because she stuck to the goodness, what we call the yamas niyamas, which we will do in book 2. She stuck to being good and doing good, simply. And these are modern sages that have come to us in times of need. So if you ever want to look, you look at Patanjali, you look at Lord Jesus, you look at Buddha's teachings about balance, not too much, not too little. You look at every single Bhagavad Gita, and nowhere does it tell you to do all these crazy things, does it? And yet all these modern teachers are telling, pay me $1,000 and I will give you this, I'll give you your eye. I mean, come on, is it about the money? Can money buy you that connection? I mean, how stupid are we? Sorry, forgive me. Forgive me. But when people are desperate for spiritual knowledge, they're desperate. That's when they're taken advantage of. And it's happening so much today because there's so much online. Oh, in 3 days, astral travel. Yeah, nothing wrong with astral traveling. And this is, again, Thank God for my master. Because when he came the first time, I was only 35 and fascinated with astral traveling because I read so many books, right? I said, Gurudev, I'd love to astral travel. He goes, really, Nalanie? Yeah, why? Sounds exciting. And he goes, would you leave the door of your home open and go out? No, absolutely not. Why? Why wouldn't you do that? Oh, anybody can come, and a thief could come in. A thief could come in. An angel could come in. But you don't know which one will come in. If you are not ready and you leave the door of your house open, anyone can walk in because you're not ready. But he said, but if you are ready, then you don't even have to think about astral traveling. God will make you travel. Phew. I listened. I'm so glad I listened, because the amount of people that have come to my life, even when I went to Sri Lanka, disciples of my master told me, oh Nalanie, oh, you love yoga so much. And you seem like a good person. Do you want to stay young forever? Because I can teach you what to do to stay young forever. And I can teach you how you can make everybody follow you. And I go, sorry, this is not the yoga for me. Can I just be a simple soul who loves God and leave me alone? I literally told him that. And he was shocked because he was quite powerful. Everybody knew who he was in Sri Lanka. But this is where you need courage on the path also. Do you see? You need courage. You sometimes have to confront things that you don't want to confront. You need to do it, not for the sake of anything else, but to know your own strength. And yes, they will attack you. And yes, he made me feel like I was the biggest fool that I went home that night. Mind stuff? Maybe I'm too proud. Maybe I do have too big an ego. You know, the way he looked at me, you think you know it all, but I didn't. I just didn't want to take that path. And then back to my good friend, Sri Patanjali, never lets me down. No, nowhere does it say in the Gita, I will teach you these cities. In fact, they say, be careful of them. So again and again, do you see why I love it as a science? Because when you love, we all know there's this magical energy inside all of us. But constantly looking for the shortcut, there's no shortcut, my friends. I really, really hate to say that, but it's the best long cut you can take. It's safe, it keeps you well, it keeps you grounded, and every year your life just gets better and better. And more freedom as we come to the next week when we speak about non-attachment, and you can see you become more and more and more free. I had a conversation with my sister this afternoon, and something that used to bother her, and she goes, sis, I'm so busy, I have no time to think about this anymore. It was a problem that bothered her a lot. And I go, wow, you're meditating every day? She goes, yes, I am. And I'm watching my thoughts. And she said, I said, oh, non-attachment. She said, you know what? It is true. I said, how do you feel? She said, free. Moksha. I said, congratulations, sis. And we both just start giggling on the phone. That is right knowledge. So do you see the depth of right knowledge? So please ask yourself again and again, if people want to get you into, not only into yoga, in any field of your life, they promise you the quick fix. Think about Sri Patanjali. Think about the 5 mental modifications. Refer to these 3 things, okay? And see, but for me, look at the scriptures, look at the great ones that you admire, and you will know, you get the answers right away. So that's, so the next one, that's right knowledge, number 1, okay? The next one is misconception. Now there's a very famous yogic story that they always use in all the scriptures. It's about, there are a group of people, villagers, it's twilight, it's quite dark, and they're walking and they see this thing on the floor and they start screaming, snake, snake, help, poisonous snake. And suddenly the neighbor comes with a light or a torch and he goes, that's only a rope. It's not a snake. Many times I've seen in my life, something goes wrong in somebody's life, or they see something that looks really, might be bad, or might be, for themselves, could hurt them, whatever it is. And then they go to the worst case scenario. Oh my God, what if this happens? All this misconception about what is happening. And I said, it's not even happened. This is your mind running away with you, saying that all this stuff is going to happen, and nothing has happened. Where are you getting all these misconceptions from? Hasn't even happened. Look at now. What's going on now? Why are you thinking, that's all these thoughts. It's made up. And you put a reality to it. And misconception is reading things that are there when they're not there. They're really not there. It's like the woman misconceived that I was depressed when I wasn't depressed. So when you are not sure of something, ask yourself, is this a misconception? Do I need to verify it? And if it's about somebody, you're like, oh, my friend said this about me. I get this as well. My best friend said this about me. Why don't you ask her directly? Oh no, I can't do that. But she's your friend. If she tells you she did, and she tells you she didn't, at least you'll know she's not a friend. With a friend like that, who needs an enemy, right? Walk away. Just makes it so simple, right? Why confuse? And for years, she my friend? She's talking behind my back? She's my friend? She's not my friend? I mean, how crazy is that? If it's a friend, ask her directly. You'll get your answer. Or you'll get a lie, but then you'll find out, one way or the other. Okay, so misconception. The end result is go for truth. Truth sometimes is painful. What is painful in the beginning can bring nectar in the end. Say that loudly. What is painful in the beginning can bring nectar in the end. What is nectar in the beginning can be poison in the end. Right? Bhagavad Gita. Refer to these. You get your answers. You really get your answers. Okay, of course it's painful now, but maybe it's the best thing that could happen to me. For me now, I just say very simply, the plan is perfect. It may look bad today, but tomorrow I'll see the benefit of it. So I'm excited. It's horrible today, but tomorrow I'm going to see the benefit. So let me just be patient and sit and wait. That's the clue, patience. Patience, just wait. Answers will come. But if you force an issue, I want it now, I want to do this now, then you stress. And what are you doing to the situation? You're actually burning. You're making more fire. And the situation will get worse and worse and worse and worse. And what you misconceive become the reality. Not because it's divine, but you created it. Oh, God did it to me, or universe did it to me. Nobody did it to you, my friend. That's different. The plan was perfect. You just got stressed out and created your own plan. Don't blame my friend. Don't blame Lord Jesus, don't blame Shiva, don't blame anybody. Look at yourself. You created that world out of materialism because why? Your goals were material. Your goals were not peace. So what you put in, you get, correct? You have to put in what you want, otherwise you get that. So that's misconception. So then the next one is verbal delusion. Verbal delusion, watch it in advertising. You see it everywhere, right? And for me, when I was 18 and I wasn't a smoker, but my friend told me, oh, she smoked, and she goes, now, why don't you have a cigarette? Because have you seen the ads? You have a cigarette, you'll have a nice boyfriend with a nice car. It's true. That was my era. I don't know, you're also much younger, right? But that was my era. It was like smoke, and I was an asthmatic, right? Smoke a menthol cigarette and it'll clear your sinuses. Can you believe that? I mean, we were like really lied to, weren't we? And like a fool, I started smoking, you know. And then my kids were born, and I stopped when I was pregnant twice. So you see, deep inside me, I knew. But then when my kids were growing up, and I go, how can I tell them not to smoke if I'm smoking? And then I read the life of Gandhi. This is even before Gurudev came to my life. I read the life of Gandhi, and I thought, that's why I said, read the lives of good people, they help you. I said, look how much he gave up, and I can't even give up a cigarette for my children. So I went to my husband, and I said, I'm not smoking anymore. He said, sure, you've said it before. I said, this time, I know, because I can see the damage to, not for me, but for my children. I had my last cigarette was on a Sunday night, never smoked again. So it's when something draws you, the love draws you, somebody else, not hurting somebody else, selfless. When it becomes selfless, you can do it. When it's selfish, no, why should I give it up for my kids? I love it, da da da. You see, you suffer. It's a choice always. Okay, so verbal delusion is, and gossip is another form of verbal delusion. Of course, people go, Nalanie, but if I'm talking about somebody and they're telling me something, and I'm gossiping, I said, no, you're just trying to tell me what this person's like, because sometimes I need to know. It's not judging, it's being wise, it's using wisdom. One thing is allowing fools to run your life, and the other is knowing they're fools and saying, it's foolish. But nowadays, yogis don't even know how to say it's foolish. Oh, I can't say that. So you're more of a fool for following a fool, are you not? Isn't it true? So again, strength, understanding, verbal delusion. So if you're with close friends that you trust and you care about, yes, you can discuss things, but not meanly. Verbal delusion, all right? So watch out for that. And people tell you things that are not true and you're not sure of them, you look at their faces. This is body language. If you're not sure what they're telling you is true, go check it out. Really check it out. And because it's important to check out today everything you hear, because I'm sorry, this is the way of the world today, especially with social media. I mean, well, a lot of rubbish in it, you know, and it has damaged so many young lives. It's also been great for many people. I'm not saying it isn't. Look, we can be, you know, on the internet, we can do so many good things with it. But unfortunately, like everything else, there's so much damage to it too. But if you are strong, you can watch it all and not get damaged. That's the secret, okay? So that's verbal delusion. Next one is sleep. You know, everybody here has got dreams. dreams. I want you to know dreams, and also when you think that there are no thoughts when you're sleeping now, because even when you sleep very well, you get up in the morning, as Sri Patanjali says, and you know, oh, I slept well. But who was watching you that you knew you slept well? Correct? You were sleeping. So how did you know you slept well? So dreams is something we can speak more about another day, but sleep is also mental modification. Dreams affect your life, good and bad too. You might have bad dreams that shift you as well. And then finally, the last one is memory, and I think you all know this, live in the past. So I tell people, if you love to keep looking back at the past, why don't you look back at all the good things that happened to you? And this happens with me with all relationships, okay? They come to me and they're about to break apart or whatever, and they only remember all the bad. All the bad. And I said, you're pretty foolish to marry each other or end up together because all you see is bad in each other. Why did you get together? Not common sense, is it? If you only see the bad in each other. Remind me of your wedding day, I'll tell them. Oh, we were very much in love. Then you must have seen something good in each other, right? Can't you remember the good? Okay, you don't get along now, but can't you remember the good? Remember that day? Remember what got you into that relationship? And you want to split? Why are you so horrible to each other now? Why are you so mean? Do it nicely. If you have to separate, do it kindly. No, what's wrong? All these crazy, crazy memories. If you have to go back into memory, go back to good. And they are roses on bad days. If you keep in your mind I tell some of my patients, please keep in mind some of the best memories with your parents, with your friends. Keep in your best memories. You keep the best memories, even when they do the bad things to you, at least your mind is still thinking good thoughts so that you are not contaminated. But sometimes you have to let the people go. It's time to let people go. Sometimes it's like that. Then all this nonsense goes da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Just let them go. Why you so much guilt? It's all self-created, all self-created, all selfish. Oh, my ego, how can they do it to me? Where is the love? Where is the love? So those are the 5 mental modifications of the mind stuff that Sri Patanjali tells us about. So I really, your homework this week is please read them again and again and again and again, and then observe where each one comes into your life and how they come into your life and how you can steady your mind. How do you steady your mind? As Sri Patanjali from Sutra 21 to 50 tells us how we can, many methods we're going to use. And then in book 2, Sadhana Pada, he tells us all the concepts we have to think about, like yama niyama. So it gives us so much to think about that why would you want to blame it? You have no time to do anything else. You have only time to become awake in yourself. And every time one layer of anger leaves you, every time one layer of fear leaves you, every time you go, thank you, Patanjali. Thank you, because why? You are free from that painful suffering, and you can live now. And that's the power of the science of the mind. All starts here.